Hello everyone, welcome to the Mythus SMP. I hope you'll enjoy the series. And further ado, let's go on with that is
It's like
something
raised
that
from the
we
dead
will
body.
that is
It was
something
a.
that needs to be taken care of. Because if that
It
was to
was.
be released into the okay, so the void exists on another third plane.
You see, the area that this happened in was a world that I created. Due to my rage state, I created a whole separate area, a whole separate dimension, and I created this ooze. It was a dimension like this, but a lot better.
It sounds like you broke.
At this,
I got popcorn. Something went down the wrong throat. Give me a sec.
yeah,
Okay, better. Sorry, a bit of smoke got
you
in.
broke is what you were saying.
It sounds like you kind of created a rift. Now, there's two possibilities of what this rift. So, one, you could have entered a new world plane, which is separate from this one. So, this
Yes,
world plane has four now, if we're not
uh,
including that dimensional plane that you mentioned.
it's
The
5, but
overworld,
only I can access. Nobody else can access it. Nobody streaming, only I can. You
there,
see,
the universe is an asshole. That is something you need to realize. The universe that the void exists on is an asshole. Anything that is created, even
but
monstrosities, it will appear somewhere else.
but the point is that it exists not anywhere out of here, but it exists within me. That's why I got to work. It
That is our
it
so
is me.
you have a soul dimension is what it sounds
I
like.
have a full dimension that only I can access.
That as long
Yeah.
as that does not escape,
You see, if I
it
enter
should
my rage
never.
state, it might leak out of me.
So it's a negative effect at that point.
If I die, it will be released.
Well, that sounds more like that doesn't really sound like it sounds like it's on another plane.
Yes, but if I die, this matter that resides in me will expand and release this terrifying world-ending catastrophe that you can't attack, you can't capture, and you can only decimate. The only way to get rid of it is to get rid of, well, the area it is resides in, basically resulting in you have to get rid of the world.
It sounds like we just need to collapse another core in the dimension. I do not. Do you know? So, okay, I do not know. So how old do you say you were?
I am 10,000 years old.
What did the world look like? Like, were there these like would there is there like campfires in that era
It,
when you were born?
um, well, in a
Yes.
sense, it was my own. I can't. It was my own dimension. So
So there was.
yeah,
Okay.
my people were not primitive. They were quite modern just back then.
Okay. What? Okay. What's another item that I can use as an example? Were any of these items existent? Like in these current forms? Any items like the
They made a
banners
modified
and
version. This
the
was the
loom?
banner of my kingdom. This was the banner of my kingdom.
I see. Do you recognize any of these blocks? Have like existed once before in your world? At the very beginning, have you ever seen these kind of blocks? Because if the answer is
Um,
no, then were there nether portals? Actually, that is a better question to ask. Were the nether dimensions existent in the beginning
yes, no.
of your world? Since you're made of matter, you might have been able to sense it. It's like a nagging feeling some of the time.
I think that the nether entered my dimension through me, but because so what happened was I had a kingdom in this world,
I'm
the
asking.
overworld,
That
and after, and then years later, I created a portal. Well, I created that kingdom in my own world, in my own dimension. And but that had a hole that wasn't able. There was an opening to get into. I left it open because it because we need resources to build and everything. And then the Nether was able to enter my dimension through that portal, and they raided and destroyed it,
so
causing me to rampage within my own dimension.
okay. So it does sound like we can stabilize that dimension, possibly, but it would end up eradicating everything.
Good. I want everything within me to be eradicated.
I
There is
I
nothing
will
left.
begin working on that once I get my room constructed. I
The
will need
huge
you to
light
gather certain
within me
materials, which I will let you
light.
know what to gather. Furthermore, it sounds like you do not know what. Do you know the basic concept of the Nether Core?
No.
So, long time ago, I was around in this era. This world exists on. Imagine the world has a number, right? Imagine it is 1. That one dimension can exist in multiple evolutions. These evolutions change
Variations.
the very fundamentals of a world, and it could result in the entire world being erased, destroyed, everyone forgetting like that ever existed. And there are other planes similar to this one, but they exist on another plane. They're not exactly the same. One of the dimensions I came from with Dr. Enderman was one of these dimensions. And we hopped between the ones, and then we ran across that entity. But there was one item that it could not defy, and that was the Nether Core. Something that was meant to bring the Nether to the overworld back in those days. Something with such power it could break the laws of physics. It could break the laws of matter itself. So
I
if
see.
anything that could restore you, it is that. We will need to build a large one though. And thankfully I got the knowledge on how to craft one. Though
Let me tell you.
building a super large one will be extremely difficult. If we get even one pixel wrong, it could result in disastrous consequences. Well, you getting sealed in it,
Let me
which
explain something to you.
your dimension
I
would
would
break it.
die to have this thing inside of me sealed or killed permanently. I would destroy every other dimension to kill it. I do not care what it takes. I want it. Dang, nothing deserves this.
There are 2 ways. If the first one does not work, we can take you to the tower, to the forgotten god. There you might be able to survive if we go in together, and it might be able to destroy you. Then we'll just use summoning magic to summon your soul back and remake the matter. However,
I maybe
this would be form of reborning. You would not be the same entity as you were. Your body would change. You would no longer possibly be made of matter, but instead of flesh and blood.
I let me tell you something. I have one more clone of myself, which has one life on it. Right now, I have one life. I have one revive left. of this body. The next one is my last life. But let me tell you, that one was the worst one. You see, I left it for last because I did not expect to die. That one, it is something else. It is not the thing inside of me, but not something worse than it. It is way, way different of a terror.
I see. Well, we should collect some of your essence. A ping, as you could say, of your soul. Because even in clones, the souls are different. If we take an example, let's take this horse for an example. Let's say this horse cloned itself. And it now is this clone. Let's say it's this clone right here. And let's take the visual difference as its difference in soul. It might be the same at first, but then there's pockets. It starts to change over the thousands of years. And then there are forms of mind magic that are forbidden. We're still working on trying to fix it after a catastrophe happened. When someone tried to change someone's mind about marriage, it led to a whole bunch of catastrophe. And then there's the Void Council. That's just a bag of shit mess.
Yes.
The Void Council, it should be fully set up by now, but setting it up was definitely difficult. But the Void will now have rules, so people aren't like pillaging every starting kingdom that appears. As people slay the dragons, then they get the egg to claim a Void Kingdom. Of course, since we were the first, we technically have claim over it all, but we made a rule saying that we wouldn't. Which, there's a lot, well, not the bigger ones, but there's a lot of smaller ones which are really cocky until they learn that rule. Then they're just shitting bricks. It's really funny to see. They're like, oh, we are like blah blah blah, and like we were the first, and they just like, oh, ah! It's probably what they want to do, but they can't because they're in a political meeting. But we will get that nether core constructed. We will need a lot of power for it though, but gold should be an ample power source.
Gold, you say?
Yes. So how the structure was set up. It was, and obsidian, and a crying obsidian as well.
We
to
have
surround
many of
it.
those.
Once I figure out the
Many.
dimensions for it, then I will let you know. So, how it was constructed usually was a platform, a plus of cobblestone, 4 gold in the middle, the nether core on top, then another plus of cobblestone. And you might feel some pain, by the way, because we are essentially going to be collapsing the dimension that's within your soul, which is normally supposed to be a spectral dimension, may I